Why is it worth being merciful to others? Mercy is one of the deepest characteristics of God that we can emulate in our lives. Being merciful means showing compassion, forgiveness, and kindness to others, especially those who have made mistakes or are in difficult situations. The Bible and spiritual life teach us that mercy not only heals relationships but also enriches our hearts and brings us closer to God. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 7. These words remind us that mercy is the path to spiritual blessing and life in harmony with God. Showing mercy to others opens us up to receiving God's mercy in our own lives. God's love for us is based on mercy. In the book of Psalms, we read, "The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love." Book of Psalms, Psalm 130, verse 8. God forgives our sins and gives us new chances, expecting that we will emulate His attitude towards others. Psychology highlights that being merciful to others benefits not only the people to whom we show compassion but also ourselves. The act of forgiveness reduces stress, improves our emotional health, and builds a sense of inner peace. Mercy allows us to let go of anger, resentment, and judgment, which can burden our hearts. How to practice mercy in daily life? First, it's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes. Jesus reminds us, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 7. Instead of judging others, we can choose an attitude of compassion and understanding. Second, mercy requires forgiveness. In the Lord's Prayer, Jesus teaches us to pray, "Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors." Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 12. Forgiveness is an act of will that allows us to release the burden of anger and open the way to reconciliation. Third, mercy also involves concrete actions to help those in need. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in." Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 35 and 36. Helping another person, even in small gestures, is an expression of mercy. Fourth, mercy requires patience. The Apostle Paul in the letter to the Colossians writes, "Bear with one another and, if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive." Letter to the Colossians, chapter 3, verse 13. Patience with the weaknesses of others allows for building lasting and loving relationships. Mercy is not only an act of love towards others but also a testimony of our faith and trust in God. Jesus calls us to emulate the Father. "Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful." Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 36. When we show mercy, we become instruments of God's love in the world. Being merciful is a decision that brings peace to the heart, builds relationships, and allows us to experience deeper joy in life. It is a path that leads us closer to God and reminds us that each of us is in need of both forgiveness and love. In mercy, we discover the true beauty of being human. If you find joy in our conversations, feel free to share them with your friends.